Today's episode focuses on a significant and rapidly evolving shift in the global drug supply, one that is already affecting frontline practice, emergency response, and public health planning in the UK and internationally. Ordinarily, when we review reports and surveillance data, we are analysing trends that are already established. What feels different at the moment is that many of the changes we are seeing are still unfolding. The evidence suggests that the structure of the illicit drug market itself is changing in real time. This is not about the appearance of a single new substance. It is about a fundamental reconfiguration of how drugs are manufactured, distributed, detected, and responded to. Over the past year, a growing body of evidence has pointed to three interlinked developments. The rise of a new class of highly potent synthetic opioids, often referred to as Nitazenes. The increasing presence of non-opioid veterinary sedatives such as Xylazine. And, more recently, the emergence of even more potent sedatives such as Medetomidine. Together, these substances are creating challenges that existing harm reduction tools and overdose response protocols were not designed for. Nitazenes are not new discoveries. They were first synthesized in the late 1950s during pharmaceutical research into opioid analgesics. They were never approved for human use because their potency and side effect profile were considered unmanageable. What has changed is not their chemistry, but their context. As global heroin supply has become more restricted, particularly following the Taliban ban on opium cultivation in Afghanistan in 2022, illicit producers have shifted decisively towards fully synthetic alternatives. Nitazenes offer several advantages from a criminal supply perspective. They are cheap to manufacture, require no agricultural input, and are active at extremely low doses. Some nitazenes are estimated to be hundreds of times more potent than morphine, and in some cases exceed the potency of fentanyl. At that level, the margin between an intended dose and a fatal dose becomes extremely small. One of the most significant risks arises from how these substances are sold. Nitazenes are not limited to the street opioid market. UK forensic reports have identified them in counterfeit prescription medicines, including pills marked as oxycodone or benzodiazepines. This means people with no tolerance to opioids may be exposed unknowingly. UK data indicates that nitazenes were linked to hundreds of deaths within a single year. A critical issue with these drugs is detection. The BTNX nitazene strips handed out by drug services can detect 24 of 33 tested nitazenes at reasonable concentrations, about 73% of analogues. But performance varies by drug and concentration. Alongside nitazenes, xylazine has become an increasingly important concern. Xylazine is a veterinary sedative authorized for animal use only. It is not an opioid and does not respond to naloxone. The harms associated with xylazine differ from those seen with opioids alone. Acute effects include profound sedation, bradycardia, hypertension, and hypothermia. Longer-term harms include the development of xylazine-associated wounds, necrotic skin ulcers that can appear anywhere on the body, not only at injection sites. These wounds are linked to prolonged immobility and reduced blood flow rather than injection technique. They are highly susceptible to secondary infection and often require complex, long-term medical management. More recently, public health alerts from North America have highlighted the emergence of medetomidine, another veterinary sedative acting on similar receptors to xylazine but at far higher potency. Early data suggests that medetomidine can rapidly dominate local markets due to the very small quantities required to produce strong effects. While current evidence suggests fewer tissue injuries than xylazine, withdrawal appears significantly more severe, with neurological and cardiovascular symptoms requiring intensive care. These changes have direct consequences for frontline response. Naloxone remains essential and life-saving for opioid toxicity. However, higher and repeated doses may be required when potent synthetic opioids are involved, and the duration of effect may be shorter than that of the opioid itself, increasing the risk of resedation. Crucially, naloxone has no effect on xylazine or medetomidine. A person may resume breathing after naloxone but remain deeply sedated, requiring airway management, rescue breathing, and hospitalization. What we are seeing is a long-term structural shift away from plant-based drug production towards fully synthetic, laboratory-based substances. This shift favors potency, concealment, and rapid chemical adaptation. The most effective protective measures increasingly rely on information, knowing what substances are present, how they behave, and how response protocols must adapt. The established rules of the past no longer apply in the same way. Staying informed, updating practice, and investing in real-time surveillance are now central to preventing harm. Keep yourself safe out there.